Good morning, Ziddis. Welcome to Internshala Trainings World Education Day Fair 2022. We are glad to have you on board for India's largest online learning event on the International Day of Education. A very warm welcome to everyone present here. I hope you are as excited as this day is. We have a lot of really interesting things planned for all of you. But before we start talking about it, I would like to ask, do you consider yourself a Ziddi? And do you have this aage badhne ki zid in you? And what is your zid? Please comment down your answers in the chat, and we would like to know about how many ziddis are there present with us today, and what is your zid exactly. All right. While we see how many ziddis we have here with us, we should see there is something that we would like to show you. So here is a short film that we would like to play for everybody, for all our viewers.
खुद को खोकर ही खुद को पाएगा, रुकना काम नहीं तेरा आगे बढ़ता जाएगा। मुश्किलें जितनी आए हिम्मत नहीं हारेगा तू, याद रख तू कौन है, पर्वत को चीर फाड़ेगा तू। पंख नहीं दिखते तेरे पर भर ले तू ऐसी उड़ान, उड़ जा नन्हे पंछी कर दे सब परिंदों को तू हैरान। कोशिशों से मिलती कामयाबी, कामयाबी का तू हकदार है। रास्तों की खाके ठोकरें, जीतने के लिए तू अब तैयार है। ओ रुकना कैसा, डरना कैसा, बात नहीं कोई अब डरने की, कर ले जिद आगे बढ़ने की। बात नहीं कोई अब डरने की, कर ले जिद आगे बढ़ने की।
Amazing to see all the responses. It's so overwhelming to see how many ziddis we have with us today here. And a lot of people have commented that they want to be independent. They have this zid to be independent as soon as possible. And we have a few answers. I would like to point them out. Abhishek says that he has a zid to gain more knowledge. And Sneha says that ziddi is her mood, hands down. Well, I think that's all of us here, Sneha. And some people say they are super ziddi to crack exams, to improve their skills. And let's see, there is a comment which says that इतना सक्सेसफुल होना है कि मॉल में जाके प्राइस टैग चेक ना करना पड़े. Well, kudos to the zid. And my zid is to achieve more practical knowledge. I think that's extremely important for sure. Well, it's great to see that we have so many Ziddis with us today here, which will make the event even more successful. So, on this International Day of Education, Karo Zid Aage Badhne Ki with Internshala Trainings. You are in for a skillful ride today. We have planned a number of live IST practicals, webinars around various topics from India's most popular careers like business management, design, programming, and core engineering. We also have a very special counseling session with experts from top organizations of the country, where you can ask your questions and clear all your doubts. To commence this grand learning experience, I would like to invite a very special guest. Please put your hands together for Mr. Sarvesh Agrawal, founder and CEO of Internshala. Welcome, Sarvesh. So good to have you here with us today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Deepika. And good morning, everyone. Namaskar and Suprabhat. First of all, a very happy World Education Day to all of you, and I welcome you once again to this very special event by Internshala Trainings World Education Day fair. As you may have seen in the video, जैसे आपने वीडियो में देखा होगा, the theme of this fair is करो जिद आगे बढ़ने की, and I love this theme. The place where I come from, Rajasthan, in the local Hindi newspaper, every Wednesday एक supplement आता है, youth supplement, whose tagline is जिद करो दुनिया बदलो. And I've been reading this newspaper since I was in 8th, 9th standard. And this tagline, जिद करो and दुनिया बदलो, has inspired me so much. I find it so inspiring, so apt. मतलब कि I fundamentally believe, I deeply believe, genuinely believe in my heart कि जब तक हम जिद नहीं करेंगे कुछ बदलेगा नहीं. Do you agree? क्या आप मानते हैं कि जब तक हम जिद नहीं करेंगे कुछ बदलेगा नहीं? If you agree, please type yes in the chat and tell me that you also believe that until we show passion, we show determination, जब तक वो जुनून हम में ना दिखे कि पूरी कायनात जुड़ जाए हमारे सपने को साकार करने के लिए, तब तक वो चीज होगी नहीं. You agree? Yeah? Yes. Because for me,
There are a lot of yes.
yeah, there are a lot of yeses, and that's true. For me, the story of Internshala and the story of Internshala trainings is a story of our stories of Jit. In 2011, when I started Internshala, I was already working. I graduated from IIT Madras. I had a fat paycheck salary and job, and I quit my job and I started Internshala. That time, a lot of people told me that there's not much in this idea because internships is a very niche market. बहुत सारे बच्चे seriously नहीं लेते हैं. Companies are not serious about internships. You cannot build anything out of this concept. But I was determined that I find this concept really powerful, really valuable, and I would do something out of it. And had I listened to all the naysayers back in 2011, we would not have created Internshala. And आज हम यहाँ नहीं होते, Internshala नहीं होती, ये event जहाँ पर हम हैं वो नहीं होता. तो कई बार advice अच्छी है. You should take advice from your seniors and listen to it. But I think a lot of times you should also listen to your heart. And if it's sort of hell-bent and determined कि नहीं ये बनाना ही है, then I think we should go down on that path. Just to give an example of कि where did that zid take me, right? So when we started Internshala, the concept of internships was not there in India, right? Very few colleges, top tier colleges had internships in India, and there's no platform like Internshala or internship platform in the country. Today, Internshala is world's largest internship platform. Yeah. In no other country exists an internship platform as big as Internshala, be it number of students who look for internship on the platform, or be it the number of companies who hire interns on the platform. So the world's largest internship platform has been made in India. And that essentially is the outcome of a zid that I had in 2011, that no matter what somebody says, I feel the idea has potential. I feel this idea में दम है, and I want to spend my prime years of my youth building this idea. That's one example of Zid, where I can see how Zid shaped my life and my career. Very similar story played out in 2016-17 when we started building Internshala Trainings, the e-learning arm of Internshala, where we offer online courses on different subjects. So what we were seeing is in 2015-16, the students who used to come to the platform to do internships, and they wouldn't get internships because they didn't have the right skills on their resume, and they would go back empty-handed. And we wanted to solve that problem and say, we will teach skills in a very, very affordable manner and accessible manner to the students all over India. And then again, the same naysayers, same doubt, people who have the same doubters, right? They would rise and say, but why would somebody come and learn on Internshala, right? What is your औकात? तुम क्यों पढ़ाओगे? YouTube पे इतना material free में available है, and there are so many courses out there, etc. What is your hasti to go and teach education to anybody? And we said, yeah, we don't know anything about education, but we'll learn. We'll first learn how to teach ourselves, and then we'll build the world's best courses that anybody can find anywhere in the world. And we embarked on that journey. It took us 3 years where we continuously spent sleepless nights trying to think, how do we teach this concept in the best possible way, right? We have Professor Verma coming in later, and who sort of inspired all of us to say, ki, even if there are global standards, global books out there, global textbooks out there on subject, you can always create something very, very Indian and present it to an Indian audience and succeed there. And the outcome of that ZID, where we said we will be the best learning platform that India has seen, is that today about 200,000 students learn a skill on Internshala Trainings. So, right? So, building Internshala as the world's largest internship platform, building Internshala Trainings as one of the leading e-learning platform of the country. Right? These are all examples of ZID. No data, no history, no past example will tell you that this can become something, etc. But it's just the ZID, the determination, the passion that you have in your idea, in your heart, is what sort of carries you forward. I remember when I started, I jumped to the introduction of this chief guest, the star attraction, the star speaker of the show. But I remember when I was starting Internshala, I watched an interview of Kapil Dev, in the night. He said, dreams are not that you see while you're sleeping. He said, dreams are something that don't let you sleep. Right?
Wow.
And I think that line sort of stuck with me, कि सपने ऐसे होने चाहिए जो सोते हुए नहीं देख रहे हैं आप. सपने वो होने चाहिए जो आपको सोने ना दे. अगर ऐसा कोई सपना, if you have become prisoner to any such dream, if any such dream has caught hold of you, that's your jit. And that's something that you have an obligation, moral, ethical, physical, mental, to go and sort of give it a shot. And I think that line stuck with me, and that became my mantra for next 10 years. So I sort of want to end it on that the Karo Zid Aage Badhne ki is a very, very powerful statement, very powerful tagline. And I hope no matter whether we are young, middle-aged or old, we always retain this Zid Aage Badhne ki in our heart, because that's how we grow, that's how we learn. Okay, so that's my 2 cents on the theme of the fair. Now I will move on to the reason all of us are here, the star speaker, the chief guest of the show. So before I welcome and invite the chief guest of the session, let me ask you a question. How many of you read and studied, or how many of you read or heard about the book Concepts of Physics yourself? How many of you have studied Concepts of Physics book from the book Concepts of Physics yourself? Say, type yes in the comment box if you've studied from this book. And how many of you attribute your engineering careers or your careers success in your entrance exams to this book? I can raise my hand.
Wow, there are so many
I
people who
guess
are saying
the
me.
stream
Yes,
of yeshes, yeah. I mean,
so
millions of
many.
engineers, millions of IITians or engineers or scientists, science professionals across the country will attribute their career in engineering to this book, Concepts of Physics, from Dr. Professor H.C. Verma. I can proudly raise my hand that I was fortunate
Yes.
to study from this book, right? So great. So the name needs no introduction. Without further ado, let me invite our chief guest for this session, one of the most loved teachers of India, whose book has shaped millions of career and has created intriguing passing interest in physics for a million. His book, Concepts of Physics, has not only captured the market, but also the hearts and minds of all the Indian students. Please join me in welcoming on stage Padma Shri Professor Dr. H.C. Verma.
Thank you, sir. Very nice. So nice of you.
Very warm welcome, sir.
Welcome to the
Very
session, sir.
nice.
It's an honor and privilege to be interacting with you. Before we jump into the conversation, let me just directly, I just want to give a brief overview of your career to our audience so that they understand the kind of hard work and perseverance that goes behind Padma Shri, Doctor, Professor H.C. Verma. Because everybody thinks of success as an overnight journey, but the years of hard work that goes behind the success, I think, is important that our students learn about it today. So I'll just quickly read a snapshot of your career for our audience, if that's okay with you.
It's a very short story.
Yeah, I know.
Because
I'll do it for you, sir. I'll just quickly read through a snapshot for you.
uh-huh.
Okay. So after obtaining his BSc honors degree in physics from Patna University, Dr. H.C. Verma joined IIT Kanpur from 1975 to 1977 to pursue his MSc. He was a top student. His CGPA was 9.9, something that I'll touch upon in later on in my conversation with him. He chose to remain at IIT Kanpur to pursue his doctorate, where again he graduated from flying colors. He completed his PhD in just 3 years. In 1980, Dr. S.C. Verma continued his journey in academics and he joined the reputed Patna Science College as a lecturer and chose to remain there for about 15 years before moving to IIT Kanpur at 1994. At 1984, his journey of writing this famous book that all of us know and love, Concepts of Physics, started. And 8 years of labor, I would say the result of the labor, the love that he put into this book, the book was published in 1992. As I said, he joined IIT Kanpur in 1994 and he remained there, taught hundreds and thousands of students physically, and through his book, millions of students worldwide virtually. And he retired from there, from the active service from IIT Kanpur on 30th June 2017. In his remarkable career, he's published 139 research papers for various reputed journals, written several books. Concept of Physics we all know about. Quantum Physics is another book that he wrote while he was at IIT Kanpur. And some of the recent very interesting books that he's been writing on marrying Indian folklore, mythology, and physics are going to come out in near future that we'll touch upon in the conversation. And recognizing his vast contribution to the world of science and education, he was awarded Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad Award, Shiksha Purushkar in 2017, and most recently Padma Shri in 2021. Welcome once again, sir. Privileged and honored to be speaking with you. For a student, there's no greater joy to finally meet the teacher who shaped his life. So it's a personal dream come true. It's a fanboy moment for me to sort of come and interact with you face to face today. Welcome to the session, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Right. Sir, so I'll jump into the conversation. So today's theme is World Education Day. We're going to talk about education. We're going to talk about your career. We're talking about the ZID and the determination. So these are some of the broad themes that we would touch upon in today's conversation. But my very first question to you is, sir, what kind of a student you were in college? Because when I hear that you scored 9.9 CGPA in your MSc and you completed your doctors in 3 years at IIT Kanpur, based on my stay at IIT Madras, I can imagine what kind of a student you must have been. And these kind of students were either respected a lot or they were hated a lot, right? Because the average Joes like me was there 9.9. Why? कुछ बच्चों के लिए बाकी लोगों के लिए भी छोड़ दीजिए. And where did you lose that 0.1? I mean, like 9.9 ही क्यों? वो 10 क्यों नहीं हुआ? वो 0.1 कहाँ रह गया? So I just want to get a sense of. We all know teacher Professor Verma. We want to know what the student Harish Chandar Verma was like.
वो पहले थोड़ी सी छोटी सी कहानी कह दूं मैं कि वो 10 क्यों नहीं हुआ, 9.9 क्यों रह गया.
Yes, sir.
And the person responsible for my 9.9 is no other than the then Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi.
Oh.
It's very interesting. Dr. A.P. Shukla was professor at IIT Kanpur. I don't know, but when you were there, perhaps he had already retired. So he was teaching us quantum mechanics, and it was a 2-semester course. So in the first semester, I got that A grade, and I was the most favorite student of A.P. Shukla. And A.P. Shukla is still one of the most favorite teachers for me.
Okay.
Okay. So our association was really deep. Ideologically also, he was a leftist, and he used to talk a lot of this communist philosophy to me in the corridors. And I was trying to learn from what I could learn from those talks. So there's absolutely good understanding. And the quantum mechanics, I wrote the book Quantum Mechanics because I really love it. And the whole credit is A.P. Shukla. Now, in the second semester, when that second part of that quantum mechanics course was going on, and it was almost 3/4 of the semester gone. So about a month or 3 weeks were left. One fine morning, we heard that Dr. A.P. Shukla has been arrested in the early hours of dawn, some 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. like that, and the charges leveled was that he was involved in cutting those electrical wires and damaging the railway tracks at IIT Gate and this and that. So that was 1976 emergency time, and no one could question the government and the police. So he was just put in the jail, and he remained in jail for so many months till the emergency was lifted.
Wow.
Okay. So all efforts of IIT director and others to get him released failed. Now, to me, it was 3 weeks of the semester still left, and Professor H.S. Mani was assigned to complete the course. And quantum mechanics is a subject which can be viewed in many different ways, many different ways, the same equations and the same things. It's a philosophy. It's basically a philosophy. So the way A.P. Shukla used to look at quantum mechanics and the way H.S. Mani used to look at the quantum mechanics was very different. Okay, and
Sure.
we were with A.P. Shukla for one full semester and plus 3/4 of the second semester. So in those 3 weeks, it was very difficult for us to retune ourselves to
Professor Manish.
this HS Mani style of quantum mechanics. And his priorities and his focus and other things. So that was the only course where I got B grade and earned that 9.9 instead of 10.
Right. Oh, wow.
So these are very interesting events that take place in one's life.
Yeah, so
now,
politics.
Coming to college.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, coming to college to answer your original question. So in Patna University at BSc Honors, Patna Science College, I was a really good student, and I used to study a lot and put a lot of questions to my teachers, and the teachers were sometimes annoyed also with my questions and so on and so forth. And I stood third in my university. The topper also joined MSc IIT Kanpur with me, and I was the third there. But before that, before joining that Patna Science College, in schools, I was a very poor student.
Very poor student.
Very poor student. Very poor student.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Class 6, I failed. Class 7, I passed, but my father decided to repeat because I did not have a strong base, and I was not doing well. So class 7, I repeated. Okay, class 7, 8, 9. So I failed in half-yearly examinations, passed in annual examinations. Okay. And in annual examinations, passed means failed in less than or equal to 3 subjects out of 10. So according to the rule of the school, if a person fails in 3 or less than 3 subjects, he is declared passed and promoted to the next class. So all the time I was promoted under that rule. So that was my school days. And the only good thing was that I did not go for any kind of tuition at any stage, even with this bad grades and everything. My parents never asked me to go to the tuitions, and perhaps that was the best part of it. That was so I could just keep my potentials intact. Okay, they were not destroyed by the tutors. Okay. Sure. So at an opportune moment when that potential was, I was able to bring that out, and then it was almost a steep transition from like a step function from 0
Yeah,
to
so
1.
from failing in class 6, 7, then being a poor student in school, then being a topper in college, that seems like a roundabout transformation, like 180-degree transformation. And I think
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
particularly inspired that, because I'm sure that one of the questions that we wanted to ask you later in the journey was, how do we deal with failures, and how do we all the students that are there out there and all the listeners that are out there, we all face failures all the time in our lives, right? And I'm sure many of the students may be failing semester exams right now, they'll be struggling to get internship jobs, all of that right now. But and we lose heart and we lose hope. But what caused that transformation, that from being a failure in school and
Uh,
from then becoming a success? Hmm.
uh, right. In fact, it's a very interesting story, and
Hmm.
it has a very interesting message also.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure, sir. Hmm.
Yeah. And the thing is that this was 60s, 1960s when I was
Hmm.
doing schools.
Hmm.
So I joined a school only in class 6. I did not do class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
And my father, who also never went to a school, okay, but then at some stage he also got passionate about learning.
Hmm.
Okay, so at the age of say 15, 16 years, he thought that he should also study. He still did not join any school,
Hmm.
but he purchased textbooks of that board for
Hmm.
class whatever class 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He used to
Hmm.
purchase books and study.
Hmm. Hmm.
Never gave any examination.
Hmm.
But then the self learning was so strong that
Hmm.
he became a teacher. He opened his own school.
Wow. Wow.
And his school was the top school in Samastipur, where he was running that school.
Hmm.
Okay, and everyone was amazed by the kind of students that school produced,
Hmm.
and that too in Samastipur or in Bihar or anywhere in India,
Hmm.
one class means 1 year, right?
Yes.
After
Hmm.
1 year, you are promoted to the next class.
Hmm.
And in my father's school, this period was 6 months. Every 6 months, he will promote the student to the next class. And still, the students of our school were so brilliant and all-round performance in dramatics, many things apart from the studies. And in the studies, there was no match.
Hmm.
So for this school was up to class 5.
Hmm.
So for 6, then they used to go for next other uh, schools,
Hmm.
reputed schools.
Hmm.
If there is a certificate of my father's school, there
Hmm.
will be no asking, there will be no examination, no admission test, nothing, and
Direct
they
admission.
will directly admitted because they will be at the top.
Hmm.
Right. So my father taught me some mathematics and some language,
Hmm.
something.
Hmm.
And at class 6, I was admitted to a particular school.
So you also
Okay.
studied in the same school which your father used to run till class 12.
No, no. That time I was a kid. I remember that school, but
Okay, you didn't study
that
there.
time
Okay. Hmm.
I
Hmm.
was below 5 years, 3 years,
Sure.
4 years,
Okay.
2 years,
Sure.
3 years,
Okay.
4 years.
Wow.
So
Hmm.
yes, I remember that school very well and all the
Hmm.
deliberations that were going on there, but
Hmm.
not that I studied there.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Okay.
Wow.
So of course that school did not run for long
Hmm.
because my elder brother, when he got appointed at Patna University as a lecturer, he
Hmm.
forced my parents to
Move with
leave
him.
that Samastipur
Hmm.
and come to Patna so
Hmm.
that the entire family can stay together. Because
Sure.
my family as such economically was very weak.
Hmm.
My elder brother did not eat 2 meals for 4 complete years
Wow.
during his BSc, BA and MA, masters and bachelors. So
Hmm.
he was in the hostel and joined
Hmm.
the mess, but then he paid only half the mess charges, monthly charges, with the
Hmm.
commitment that he won't take lunch, only dinner,
Wow.
and that went for 4 complete years.
Wow.
So when my elder brother got job, he forced us to leave Samastipur and come to Patna and stay with him. Now he has a job, now he is earning. So the whole family should come out of that big poverty crisis.
Yeah. Yeah.
So finally, the school was closed. But the story I was telling is that, see, I joined in class 6 directly.
Mhm.
Okay. And that time my age was 9 years.
Mm.
Right. And then class 6, 7, 8, I almost did not learn from the school system because I failed in so many subjects. And the subjects in which I passed, the scores were some 40%, 45%, 50% type.
Mm.
So essentially, the transformation started when I reached class 10. And the beautiful story is that my mother is responsible for that. Okay. I never enjoyed school learning. I never enjoyed what is being taught in the class. I did enjoy, but then not to the extent that I come home and also study from the textbook.
Mm.
ओके, क्लास में पढ़ा दिया तो अच्छी बात है, सुना समझ लिया, ठीक है, जितना समझ में आ गया. But the interest was not up to the extent that I pursue it in home also. घर आने के बाद भी उसी को पढ़ते रहो. That I never did. And that is an exam. Preparing for examination is a different technology than learning.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Preparing for an examination is totally different technology. You have to make strategies, you have to make revisions, you have to do practices, and so on and so forth. So I used to learn, that is true, in the school also. Then I was not tuned toward this reading from the textbook several times and all that.
Sure.
So my mother did a deal with me. This is a very famous story. I have talked several times this. And during that Chhath festival, he prepared some very nice sweets, which we call thakua in Bihar. So lot many thakuas, and in a transparent glass container, she kept it in her room. And the deal was that if I sit in her room for 1 hour with my books and with my notebooks and with my pencil, for 1 hour, I will get 2 pieces of that thing. And I thought that deal is okay because I don't have to read, I don't have to write, I don't have to study, I have to sit with that.
Sit in the room.
Materials. So at that tiny age, I could not see the inner conspiracy. So when I started, now in a particular small room where no one else is there, and I have to be in that room for 1 full hour to get 2 pieces. And if I stay for 2 hours, I will get 4. Okay. So what do I do there?
Yeah, you just open the book and...
What do I do there? The same 4 walls, the same kind of calendars, the same kind of things. So at the end, there was no other choice. If I have to get the sweet, I have to read. So I started reading the books.
Yeah.
And when I started reading the books and chapters, then I realized that it's not a bad thing. It is also enjoyable. It is also enjoyable. That is how.
And you're doing for reward at the end of it. Yeah, you're doing for reward at the end of it. Anyway, you were enjoying it.
Together with those. So that is how my study started. And once the study started, I started putting time at home. I think. And then 10th onward, I was doing well.
Interesting in study.
Number one, the messages. The biggest message is that I learned this whole thing up to class 10th. Okay, I learned this whole thing up to class 10th, essentially in 2-3 years. Even if I start with my class 6 things, say 4 years. And the system kills 12 years of time. Nursery, then KG, then class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. So is it not a very serious matter? We are killing so much of time of our students, which is not necessary. The things which can be done in 3-4 years, we are taking 12 years and straining the students all the time. वो भारी बस्ता और वो बैग का वजन कम करो और क्या क्या all these slogans are going on, which is absolutely unnecessary. Okay. So that is something which our new education policy, I don't know what will happen after that. But presently, this is a big concern that we are killing so much of a student's time. Millions of students are in this trap. That is one. The second thing is, at least in my case, the inner potential was always there. Inner capabilities were always there. Okay. But the school system said, no, you are worthless.
Yeah, you have to fit into the particular module of the system. Then only you sort of...
Yes. So that is another thing. That and then what happens? What happens if I am not doing well in the very early stage? I will be put in some tuition center, and somewhere I will be forced to go through certain regimented schedule and this and that, and that will kill my natural strengths. That will kill my natural strengths. I will not enjoy the study, but it will always be something I have to take load on my head. So that's another thing, and that trap is still going on. Still going on.
So, no, I think some very powerful learning. One is we don't need 12 years to get to where we can get in 3-4 years, and we can be a lot more efficient in the education system. And the education system should allow people to realize their full potential rather than forcing them to conform to a particular way of teaching, etc. It reminds me of quote that if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, you'll always fail it, right? And that's essentially what it is. But listening to your family story, I'm saying, so the theme of today's event is Zid Aage Badhne Ki, but I think you come from a family of Ziddis, no? Your father was a Ziddi who said, I don't need formal education, but I've done a school in a very, very different concept than what was the norm back then. Your brother struggled, honestly brought tears to my eyes to imagine not having to take 2 full meals for 4 years. I think what kind of struggle, what kind of determination, what kind of passion one must have had. And your mother's zid to make sure that you fall in line and you sort of work within the system and beat the system and build a career. I think all three could be stars of the show today along with you if you had an opportunity, and bring the entire family, the Ziddi family of the country. But moving on to the subject of Zid, we all know physics is your first love, etc. Right? But when did you realize physics was going to be the most relentless pursuit of your life, your Zid, so to speak?
I do not know actually. See, up to class 10th, there was nothing which attracted me. Almost nothing which attracted me in studies.
Sure.
No subject. Okay. After I went through that transformation of Thakwas, then I started enjoying learning first. Okay. When I came to class 11, that was in Patna Science College. Absolutely fantastic teachers. Absolutely fantastic laboratories. Huge laboratories, and very well run. Every experimental session, there will be teachers, there will be lab assistants, and there will be questions. They will guide us, and we will do the experiment. We will find the results, analyze, and so on. So absolutely. And since I was already awakened, I enjoyed all those
joy of learning.
Joy of learning, right? So that is how it went. And that time I was almost equally interested in physics and mathematics. Okay. And chemistry also I enjoyed. Nothing against chemistry. And biology, of course, I never learned, because at that time, and now once again after this NEP, there's a stream, whatever stream. Although in NEP there is some freedom of going through minors and other topics together with your mainstream, but the stream is decided after class 8 itself. Okay, so the current system, it is decided after 10th, but in my time in 60s, we had to choose the science or in science, mathematics or biology. Science, commerce, or art.
Yeah.
And if you are in science, biology,
Mathematics,
so
biology,
that
or
has to be
mathematics.
decided at class 8 level only. And therefore, I have
Okay.
no exposure of biology. I have no
Okay.
exposure of
Okay.
biology at all.
Hmm.
Now, among physics, chemistry, and mathematics, physics and mathematics were little more favorite than chemistry. Although chemistry was also very good, and I enjoyed chemistry also. Did well in chemistry also, the experiments also, theory also. But then one thing was very clear. One thing was very clear in my mind by say class 11 that I have to become a teacher, no other profession.
And why was that?
Why that? Basically, it was seeing a difference between the school system and the Patna Science College. The teachers at Patna Science College really put the accelerator on. Okay, that vehicle was put on by my mother in class 10th level. But then the acceleration that was provided by the science college teachers, excellent teachers.
Yeah.
And they became my models. I also have to become teacher. Right?
Yeah.
So basically that was the inspiration. And second thing was there was not much exposure of other things. I did see that okay, there are police officers. I did see that there are military persons. I did see that okay, there are government officers or engineers or doctors. But there was not much exposure of all these things. Right? It was just in the society we see all these professions. That's all.
Right.
But the teachers, science college teachers, or even in school, I love my teachers. No fault of them.
The system was at fault, but not them.
My teachers were very good. In fact, I enjoyed learning in school, but not enjoyed preparing for the examinations. So I had to become a teacher, and therefore I decided that I won't fill that JEE form, which was always there. And in Patna Science College, there was a culture of going for IITs and JEEs. But then I decided that no, I don't have to fill this form because I don't want to become an engineer. And I did not know that pure science is also taught in IITs. So I have to do BSc honors. BSc honors, I have to choose one subject out of 3. So physics and mathematics was a tussle. And in fact, I filled my application form for mathematics honors, not physics.
Okay. So there is a book called Concepts of Mathematics that will come out. Had that been your form been accepted? Right, sure.
Yes, I wanted to do mathematics, and after 12th examination and before admission to BSc program, we had some 2 months of time during which those evaluation and results will come out and those things. In those 2 months, I had learned a lot of mathematics at BSc level.
Okay.
A lot of mathematics I had learned. I was prepared for mathematics honors. But then the destiny was for physics and not for mathematics. When I was going to submit that form in Patna Science College office, the mathematics professor of that department was just there in that veranda, and he asked me that what are you doing here in mathematics department? I said that I have come here to submit my application for BSc Honors Mathematics. I thought he will be very happy to hear that. But he was not. And he pursued me that you should go for physics honors. And whatever logic he gave, I just counter argument was there with me. And I was not convinced with his logics. And I always give a valid counter argument that no, this is not valid. This argument is not valid, and so on. At the end, his last argument, it was about 7-8 minutes of conversation. His last argument was that if you do physics honors, if you do mathematics honors, you will be very good, you will do very good, and you will be a good mathematician, no doubt. But if you do physics honors, you will have the opportunity to enjoy two streams together. Because there will be so much of mathematics involved in physics that you will never feel that you are not doing mathematics. So you will enjoy the whole beauty of mathematics. At the same time, on top of that, you will enjoy the beauty of physics also.
Very true. Mathematics is a
So
language in which physics speaks.
so that worked. Then I thought that, okay, I should rethink. I should rethink. Of course, physics was also a very luck subject. So I thought, okay, I should rethink. And then I came back. Finally, I submitted another application for physics honors and joined physics. That is how I came into physics.
Wow. There's so many things that I can take away from this conversation. One is, I agree with you about physics allowing you to study two subjects together. Physics is study of nature, and mathematics is the language of the nature, in which the language speaks, the nature speaks. And what you said about you not being clear about what you want to do, even 10th, etc. I think that's very relevant message for our young audience also, that it is okay to be sort of confused, not know what you want to do with your life, right? And you will hopefully, if you stay true to the core point purpose of enjoying the learning, the path will figure it out itself. I think that's a very powerful message that young learners can take, that even for somebody like Professor Verma, the physics was accidental discovery, not that he pursued it knowingly. So if he could make a career, he could become the legend he is in physics, despite it not being the primary choice or the first choice or a conscious choice. And I think we all have hope that someday we'll all find our true calling and make a name for ourselves in that. So I thank you for sharing that story with us, sir. And now I move on to the book that we all know you from, right? And I have listened to some of your interviews where you spoke about how you felt the need for a book in Indian context, because the Halliday and Resnick of the days that we all used to study, and Irodov, etc., they were great at physics, but they didn't really connect with the Indian audience, right? I mean, and that's essentially the philosophy that we also have at Internshala Trainings when we create our learning programs. That maybe when you give an example for sport, maybe talk about gilli danda or cricket, and not about, say, rugby or football that nobody understands in India, right? So I think the localization of the content, making it relatable, was something I think is a great insight, and I think that's what made the secret. That's a secret sauce behind the book's popularity. Would you agree? Would you say that we all agreed with it, especially the monkeys hanging on monkeys? I think those are the images that are printed on our minds forever. So I think, but the question I have is, it was a very bold concept, right? The foreign authors' books which are very popular, and you have this insight that nobody has had so far, that physics is not just about the principles of physics, it's also about the application of physics in day-to-day life. And only when these two are married, one can ignite interest in physics, and one can start understanding physics. I think that's what happened with me, for sure.
True.
So
Yes.
but that was a very new concept, right? Nobody, I mean, didn't you face a lot of naysayers and challengers and ki bhai kya kar rahe ho, and my university, and it took you 8 years,
Zid.
right? So Zid. So the book
Zid
was
hai.
your Zid. Zid hai. All right. So would love to hear your story of the book and the Zid behind it, and 8 years of your life, the prime youth that you gave to this book. Didn't you feel doubtful? Ki, what if it doesn't succeed, and what if my hypothesis is that this book will have a demand and will help students learn physics, that doesn't prove to be true? Because a long experiment, 8 years, the longest possible experiment you must have run in your life. So, what was the thought process? How were you thinking about it back then? The doubts and challenges and self-doubt, for example.
Right. See, it all depends how you take it. What is your goal of doing something? So if the goal was to replace Resnick Halliday and bring my book as the top class selling book, I would not have done that. I could not have done that.
Okay.
Because all the time, as you say, all the time I was discouraged. First, my own logic. I know that
By your own logic.
My own logic. That my own logic is that, okay, the students buy a book to back up the things that they learn in the lectures. So if the book is not tuned to the lectures which are being delivered throughout the India, remember, not at my place, not by me, throughout the India, if the textbook is not tuned towards what the teachers are doing throughout the India in all schools, colleges, and the students are purchasing the book, having the book primarily to augment those lectures so that they can make there's a book so that they can read it 1 month later, 2 months later, the same topic. So that is why the book is there. So I could have derived from this logic that my book will not become popular.
Sure.
And to add to it, everyone was suggesting me the same thing. All my seniors, all my colleagues, any person will give me, oh, क्या कर रहे हो? कौन पढ़ेगा इतना महाभारत लिख रहे हो? कोई नहीं पढ़ेगा, तुम्हारा बेकार जाएगा मेहनत, and all that, being discouraged from all quarters. But my goal was not to sell this in big quantities. My goal was that such a wonderful thing is not existing, and I will create it.
The
I
joy
will
of
be
creation.
the creator. I will be the
Like
creator.
God.
Yes, even if it doesn't do well in the market.
Correct.
अभी आप देखो भास्कराचार्य का और आर्यभट्ट का एक एक कॉपी के लिए लोग कितना तो उसका वैल्यू है. It doesn't sell in thousands. It doesn't sell in thousands. But what is there? It's resource. किसी को research करना है, किसी को करना है. So the sale and the market value and the popularity was not the nothing in that kind of in my mind. My mind was that okay, there's something which is missing. There's something which is missing, and no one has done it so far. No one has thought so far. So perhaps this work is still pending for me only. And I should take this as a challenge. I should do it. So despite of all discouragement from all quarters, I pursued it single-handedly. And remember, Rasmik Holiday was my most favorite book. So there was no question of any competition with that. Absolutely no question. Any competition. The thing is that for Indian masses, the huge Indian masses, we do not have a textbook which can connect physics to their life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have to do that. Yeah. That was the goal, and that is why I could sustain all those 8 years of logging.
So it was your Z, truly speaking.
It was a Z.
And to me, it sounds like you were like that artist or that yogi who's lean in this tapasya for 8 years. He's not doing it for the external world. He's not doing it for any material gain. It's just your own swant sukha. In Hindi, there's a term self-satisfaction. You want to have the joy, experience the joy of creation is why you did it. But how was the reaction of the family at this point in time? Because that's one of the questions learners ask often, that I want to do X, but my family says it's not safe. The safe career choice and settle job and settle in life, etc. So you take a path which is not traditional, which is not taken by many, and your family sort of. So how was their reaction, and how do you, if it was a challenge, how do you overcome that?
Yeah. Actually, that was not an issue. That was not an issue because when I joined my job, my monthly salary was 786 rupees per month, and all of a sudden, after getting that 786 rupees per month, my family's economical condition was much better. My elder brother, who was there with his salary alone, it was still very difficult to sustain the family. And we were living in not that bad condition that we didn't get 2 meals, but still. And after my salary is guaranteed, but then was still getting 786 rupees per month. That was okay. After that, I could have done coachings, tuitions, extra money, this and that, so on and so forth. But my family was also quite idealistic. They were never concerned with having all those worldly things. मेरे घर में एसी क्यों नहीं आ रहा है जल्दी, मेरे घर में फोन क्यों नहीं आ रहा है, टीवी क्यों नहीं है, बिकॉज हम तो वहां से चल करके आए थे ना. इन सब का कोई लस्ट नहीं था. और प्लस माय ब्रदर, माय फादर, माय मदर, all were very idealistic people. Never compromised on anything. Principles are principles. झूठ बोलना है नहीं है तो नहीं है. लालच करना नहीं है तो नहीं है. तो उनको कोई समस्या नहीं थी. उनको कोई समस्या नहीं था. I am spending my extra time in writing book. So there was no problem of that sort.
Okay, not taking extra income. Yeah, sure.
Right. So then the question that the students are saying that there's a difference between the thinking of student and the parents, and that is how they have to choose wrong careers many times. That is true. That is there. But then if you have a passion for your own liking, the parents will not be obstruction.
Correct. Yeah.
The parents tell you to do a particular profession because they love you. Because they love you. They want your future to be secured. Sure. That is why. And if you have a passion, and the parents find that if we don't allow this person, this boy or this girl to pursue that, there's a huge psychological setback. The person, no parent will force you. No parent will force you. But if you are in doldrum, some epsilon this side and some minus epsilon that side, then yes, they will drive.
Correct. They're testing you, how determined you are. वो check कर रहे हैं कि how sure you are about this thing. Yeah.
You know, देखो भारत में पेरेंट्स जो होते हैं वो बच्चों को बहुत प्यार करते हैं. It's not possible कि they will do something which will go against you. But you have to convince. That you have to convince that yes, I am okay with this only, nothing else.
So many inspiring lessons for our audience from this 5-minute conversation that we had. I think I just want to summarize it for them. First of all, don't do something for the sake of outcome. Do it, enjoy the process, and that's where the most of the learning happens. Even now in the chat, I see some students asking about the certificate कब मिलेगा stock का. I'm saying, don't be here for the certificate, man. You will get the certificate, and if it's adds value. But the real joy and the real value of the conversation is the conversation that we are having right now. So focus on the conversation, focus on the lessons that you can take from this conversation, and not on the certificate. And the second is about the dream, right? Don't tie your dream to an external outcome, because then that's not entirely in all your control. But try to the joy you'll experience in the process of pursuing that dream. And finally, what you are saying, sir, is that your parents are just a testing ground for your zid, that how strong your zid is. If you can't convince your parents, then how will you convince the rest of the world about your zid? Yeah. Is that the message that we should?
Yes. Yes.
Right. Okay. So lot of great outcomes from this conversation for our students. Moving on, since we're talking about Indian education system, and since we're talking about parents, etc., your focus is a lot on hands-on learning, and that reflects in the book and the kind of the Utsahit Sikshak programs that you run, the physics experiments that you run, etc. And that has been our focus on Internshala Trainings also, to create practical first curriculum where theory come home and you get to practice what you're just learning in real time. What are you learning? Language or programming, etc. But I have a fundamental question for you, sir, that in India, we don't have this culture of do it yourself, right? घर में अगर एक appliance खराब हो जाए या बल्ब भी बदलना हो ना, तो हम सब engineering की degree लेके बैठे हैं, but we have to call the electrician in the society and भैया चलो ये switch change कर दो and all of that, and we don't have this culture right from the early days. And I was reading the story of Elon Musk, the autobiography of Elon Musk, and how he used to build sort of rockets and new motorcycles and custom motorcycles and change them and create new vehicles out of that, etc. There's a huge, I see that disconnect between that. Right from early age, we are not encouraged sort of to do DIY culture, the practical aspect of tinkering with things. So what's your take on that, and how do you think we should build that culture of practical first learning in the country?
Yeah, very correct. In fact, this is another way to say the same thing, that our education is not connected to our lives.
Yes,
The lives
absolutely.
are not driven by the equations.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
They are driven
Life
by
is not driven.
the yeah.
I should frame this quote. Life is not driven by equations. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes. So whatever
It's
equations you are
empirical. Yeah.
teaching, if they
Hmm.
are not relevant to the life situations, the things
Hmm.
which are happening, the
Hmm.
events which are occurring,
Hmm.
okay,
Hmm.
then there's not much meaning, and that is why students do not get interest in it.
Hmm.
If I
Yeah.
learn something which I am not able to connect with what is happening with me in
Hmm.
the rest of time, 6 hours I'm in
Hmm.
school, the rest of
Hmm.
18 hours, those
Hmm.
equations have nothing to do with those 18 hours.
Hmm.
Then it's a burden for me to remember all those equations just
Hmm.
for writing in the examination.
Hmm.
And therefore, this culture of doing experiments, or even if you don't do the experiment, the nature is doing experiments for you. At
Hmm.
least you apply your equations there.
Hmm. Observe.
In
Yeah.
your
Hmm.
in your kitchen, there is so much
Hmm.
of physics going on, so much of
Hmm.
thermodynamics going on.
Hmm.
Hmm?
Hmm.
When you are using light and you are using electricity, the nature is
Hmm.
doing experiment for you.
Hmm.
Can you not connect your equations to these if you are not able to do experiments on yourself?
Hmm. Hmm.
So this is once again the
Hmm.
same story in concepts
Hmm.
of physics was written because I thought that our curriculum, our syllabus, our topics are not connected to our lives,
Hmm.
and the same principle applies here also. And
Hmm.
therefore, when I am now doing the Hindi version of concepts of physics, the
Hmm.
first part is already in the market.
Hmm.
I have refocused on this aspect also. Do
Hmm.
experiments. So I
Hmm.
have put a lot of experiments which can do at your home
Hmm.
or with little things purchased from the market. So
Hmm.
do the experiments and then
Hmm.
use your learning, use your principles, use your
Hmm.
things that you learn in the theory part to
Hmm.
interpret and to understand
Hmm.
that qualitatively,
Hmm.
quantitatively. That
Hmm.
culture has to be done, and this from the
And
very
who has to?
beginning.
Sir, I just want to interrupt you here and say, who has the onus of creating this culture in the country? Like, because it's a, like, how do we create this culture? Is it teachers? Is it parents? Like, where does it start? That where we sort of start encouraging our kids? Because by the time they come to the college and learn, hear this message is already too late, right? I mean, we should be having this conversation with
Well,
primary school
well,
students, not with college students. So, how do you think this culture
yeah,
should be created? A culture of
the
practical
onus
first
will
learning.
be the onus will be on the educationists,
Educationists, right?
okay,
Hmm.
because the government is a different
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
The government ministers are not educationists as such.
Hmm. Hmm.
Their job is to search for people who are competent in understanding what education is and how it should go, and
Hmm.
then they implement all those recommendations in right
Hmm.
way. And then
Hmm.
implementation should be
Hmm.
nicely done. All those things are
Hmm.
to be seen by the government. But
Government, right?
the model
Hmm.
to be developed,
Hmm.
tested, and then
Hmm.
correspondingly the recommendations are to be made. That
Hmm.
has to be done by the people who are involved in teaching,
Hmm.
right? So teachers.
Right.
So I
Okay.
really do not know how it will go, but
Hmm.
at least personally, I'm trying to do this for at least 15, 16 years. That
Hmm.
physics teachers all over India, I'm
Hmm.
trying to connect, and
Hmm.
I'm trying to spread this message. And at
Hmm.
many places, the teachers have
Hmm.
tried in their school, their
Hmm.
colleges. Many
Hmm.
administrations have done that, and the
Hmm.
results are really, really very good.
Hmm.
So those things are to be done at a bigger scale in more organized way, and
Hmm.
then maybe in few years something can come out.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. I just want to add a couple of things here. One is you said the educationists have the responsibility, and I'm happy to tell you that in Internshala Trainings, when we create our training programs, the focus is always about what are the practicals we'll do in the training, and then build the theory around it, not the other way around. And currently, about 200,000 students learn a skill on Internshala Trainings platform every year. So, to a certain extent, I feel your message of hands-on learning, we are able to impart that or imbibe that in our pedagogy. So I'm very happy to sort of feel that we are a very big support of hands-on learning. Second is the hundreds of, other than college students, there are hundreds of faculty also are listening to this conversation. So we tie with about 2,000, 3,000 colleges every year, and many of the faculty members are here on this platform today, on this session today. So you were talking about teachers' responsibility. What message do you have for those educators who are shaping the future of India? What would you want to tell them
So
today?
the first thing is that you yourself enjoy the subject, whatever your subject is. And then you see that how your students will enjoy your subject.
Okay.
In general, in school system, we have some 6-7 periods. So different topics are taught in different periods. First period is English, second period it is Sanskrit, third period it is social science, fourth period is physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, just that. Timetable is there. Now, who is a good teacher? Out of the 6 teachers that they have taught the same student in that day. So, who is the best out of these 6? If the student goes from school and then after taking all the meals, etc., whatever refreshment, goes to the study table and without any homework and without any examinations, if there's no pressure of homework and examination, which book the student opens first? Chemistry, mathematics, English. Which book the student opens first? That is the test. That is the test. So if I am teaching physics, no matter what other 5 have taught, the student goes and opens the physics book first. Then I'll say that yes, I'm the best.
Wow, what a simple and powerful test. Yeah.
So you have to always innovate your teaching. Keep on innovating. Keep on bringing presentation styles and other things in such a way that your students start loving your subject. So every teacher should do that. Chemistry person should do that for chemistry. Physics person will do that for physics. The level of education will go up, and then depending on the natural instincts of the student will pick up one stream and will excel there. So that is the thing. The teacher's job, if you don't do this innovation, the teacher's job is very, very difficult. Monotonous, yes. Very, very monotonous.
Yeah.
So, some 10, 15 years after the new education policy comes and the new things come in. So during all those long years, you have to do same thing year after year, year after year, year after year. How can you sustain the interest?
I think
So
the joy has to come from within.
Do some innovations, then only you will be able to keep that joy open.
Yeah. So if I understand correctly, your message is enjoy the subject so much that you can bring that joy to the classroom and have your kids, have your students experience that joy.
Right, and that's right. And prerequisite, you understand your subject really deeply. Really deeply. Since I'm involved in talking to teachers all over country, physics teachers, and trying to enrich their understanding and teaching styles, the concepts and the ability to use the concepts, that is not very encouraging. So some 2%, 3% teachers, I find that they already have it, and otherwise they have to be supported. They have to be supported. So the training programs, if you have teachers training programs, then it's a really very strong platform, very useful platform. The first prerequisite is that you understand the concepts of your subject really deeply. In fact, whenever I have conducted any test of teachers with some questions which use the concept, which does not ask what is that law or what is that equation, but the application of that in certain situations, and that I'm good at that. I can create a lot of questions, concepts of physics, you know.
Hmm.
So if I create certain situations in which the equations, those concepts, those laws are to be applied,
Hmm.
and if you do not have a deep understanding of it, you will make mistake.
Hmm.
And my statistics says that hardly 2-3% of the teachers will have that concept,
Hmm.
and the remaining will not. And
Right.
this test is not. And whenever I do the test, remember, whenever I do the test, I always ask my teachers to not to put their names and identity on the paper. I am not interested in that.
Hmm.
I'm absolutely not interested in that.
Hmm.
But then I will do a statistical analysis.
Hmm.
How many students have done this? How many teachers have done this question too wrong, and why it is wrong? What see that the correct answer is only one, but the
Hmm.
wrong answers may be 5.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Hmm.
I analyze that.
Hmm.
These many people have given this wrong answer.
Hmm.
That means they have thought in this particular wrong way.
Hmm.
The other
Hmm.
set of teachers who are given a different wrong answer, they
Hmm.
have thought in a different wrong way.
Hmm.
So, what has in the training program, one has to find what is the root cause of that difficulty.
Wrong way.
It's
Yeah.
not
Hmm.
that it's not that you have done this thing wrong and this is the right answer.
Hmm.
It's not
Hmm.
that why did you do that thing wrong that
Hmm.
particular way? So
Hmm.
that root cause has to be explored,
Hmm.
and then that has to be removed. If
Hmm.
you don't remove that root cause,
Hmm.
and then if you give the correct answer of this question, that doesn't help.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah. Hmm.
so these are the kind of things in training programs you can
Hmm.
really do wonders if the teachers get good concepts. If they
Hmm.
clarify their concept, they will not
Hmm.
know that they have any difficulty.
Sure. Yeah.
Because if you have a certain instrument, and
Hmm.
if you don't use it,
Hmm.
you will see that yes, it is fine, it's good,
Hmm.
it's,
Hmm.
it's very good, it's giving me the
Hmm.
temperature good,
Hmm. Hmm.
is that watch is giving me time.
Hmm.
But if you go for 1 minute accuracy or 10
Hmm.
second accuracy and you
Hmm.
put your watch here, then you will know
Hmm.
that no, it's not giving me the right time.
Hmm.
So the teachers will not know that they have any difficulty in the concepts,
Hmm.
but then you have to create situations
Hmm.
in which
Yeah.
they will
Hmm.
come to know that
Hmm.
okay, there was a difficulty. In
Sure.
many of the many of the workshops, my workshops, I
Hmm.
have this common sentence. I listen this common sentence. जब
Hmm.
आए थे तो बहुत फिजिक्स आती थी,
Hmm.
अब जब जा रहे हैं तो कुछ नहीं
कुछ
आती
नहीं
है.
आता. Yeah. I think
लेकिन
more.
लेकिन अब जब जा रहे हैं तो बिल्कुल ये वादा करके जा रहे हैं अपने से
Hmm.
कि
किसी
सीख
के
कर ही रहेंगे, छोड़ेंगे नहीं.
Yeah. As you learn more, you know that you know nothing, right? As you learn more you know what you don't
Yes,
know, right? True.
yes.
Sir, we have so many questions coming in the chat, and I have few more questions, but I think we need to wrap it up. So I just have one, uh, like two quick questions, and I will try to wrap it up in next 4-5 minutes. First is, I mean, so much achieved in life. I don't need to write or reread your bio, but you still refer to yourself as a common man and a physics learner, right? So where does this relentless pursuit of life, being a lifelong learner, and where does this humility come from? And I think some of it is, I can sense it's from the background that you've grown up in and the values that you've brought up with. But I think it's important for our in today's social media age, where everybody has to lead a good life and boast about it on social media, right? तो देखिए सोशल मीडिया पे आप स्टार नहीं तो जिंदगी में तो आपने कुछ किया नहीं है ना. So how do you sort of remain grounded? How do you, and what is your message to youngsters who are so much under peer pressure to always look good, do good, achieve a lot, and sort of talk about it all the time, right? So what is, yeah, where does this common man spirit come from, and how do you, what's the message in there for our young students?
See, yes, you are very right. My family background,
Hmm.
my those initial days that
Hmm.
have all these values. My family was
Hmm.
so idealistic. So
Hmm.
those human values are there. But
Hmm.
what I have realized is
Hmm.
that the pleasure is not in the worldly things.
Hmm.
The pleasure is not on the materials that you you purchase or you have around you. It's not that.
Mm.
It's not in the AC luxury cars or it's a short time pleasure. It's a short time, very short time pleasure. And that also it doesn't give the pleasure at all. Once I'm tuned to my AC luxury car, I will look for another BMW. Oh, why don't I have that? So there's no end to it. And the real pleasure comes when you are able to touch many hearts. Okay, if you are able to touch many lives, if you are able to, at least for me, so many students, so many teachers, and so many people who are not students and teachers, when they express their love and affection, that's the real pleasure. I just tell you a story very, very briefly in 1 minute. 1 minute. In my final semester at IIT Kanpur before retirement, 2017, there was a student who was struggling at IIT Kanpur to get the degree, BTech degree. So for already 6 years she has spent, and the 7th year was going on. She had so many backlogs, so many F grades, and during all these 6 years, summers and this, that, she could clear all those backlogs, except physics 102. Okay, except that physics course. And she was really struggling in that, because this time also, already first mid semester was gone, and she secured 0 marks out of those, whatever, 60, 70 marks. Then several quizzes were over, and she got 0 in every quiz. And then some 18 days were left for the end semester examination.
Last chance to clear.
So, you are IIT Kanpur alumnus. So if you score 0 in the mid semester, and there are only 1 mid semester now. Perhaps in your time there were 2 mid semesters. So there's only 1 mid semester, you have already scored 0. There are several quizzes, you have already scored 0. 1 10-mark quiz is left, and 1 end semester examination is left. And your own reputation is that for 6 years you are struggling to clear your backlogs. In 18 days, what will you do? So she came to my office. Knocked the door, and then she told this story, that this is the situation, what should we do? I asked first question, that how come you came to me? I am not your instructor. I am not teaching course. I am not doing any tutorial. I am not connected with this course. Why did you come to me? Who asked you to come to me? And the student said that I was weeping in the corridors because of my problems. And some 4th grade employee which was there saw me weeping. And then he asked that, why are you weeping? Why are you crying? And then I told my story to that employee, that 4th grade employee. And the 4th grade employee said that go to HCL. And that is why I'm here. So if I can earn that faith of the 4th grade employee of an office which is not physics office, it was DOA office, in fact, Dean of Academic Affairs. There she was crying. So if a 4th grade employee of my institute, of an office where I hardly go for 1 day or in a year or 2 years, I don't know when I went there last. If that person has that much of faith in me, that is the pleasure. That is my achievement. That's my earning. That earning will give me pleasure for long time. Okay. So if you understand what is real pleasure, then perhaps you will not go for this. And if the destiny is there, all that fame, name, everything will come as a side side output.
Yeah. So you are saying the number of lives we touch should be the measure of how
Exactly.
big a life you have
Exactly.
lived. I think very, very
Exactly.
powerful
And
message,
you,
sir.
right,
Sure.
and creating something, and you
Creating
create
something.
something
Sure.
which was not
Sure.
there. You created.
Hmm. Hmm. Sure. Okay. Uh, Hello. Uh,
I think
Deepika.
Sir might be facing some technical issue, maybe.
Sure.
And we are almost out of time.
He's here now.
Okay, he's
Yeah.
back. He's back. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Okay. Yes.
Sorry.
Okay.
All right.
So the lives we touch and uh, the joy of creation. So I'm being nudged by my team to wrap it up. I really want this conversation to go on forever. But I just have one last question for you for 1 minute, sir, 60 seconds. What's the message for
Okay.
all the Jiddis that you gathered here today? So there are thousands of comments, etc. So what is your message? Keeping in mind the theme of the event, Karo Zid Aage Badhne Ki, how should they pursue their Zid? What's your message for all the Jiddis out there that are listening to you today?
Well, I have given or this conversation has given so many messages. You
Hmm.
whatever suits you, you pick that.
Hmm.
The whole thing is that look at the life in a more holistic way.
Hmm.
Look at the life in terms of long term, not in terms of
Hmm.
short terms.
Hmm.
Okay, the real pleasure is in doing innovations. The
Hmm.
real pleasure is creating new things
Hmm.
and things which can help many more lives,
Hmm.
right? So depending on what profession you are,
Hmm.
you have to decide how to do that.
Sure.
Right,
Hmm.
right.
All right.
Thank
Cool.
you so much, sir.
Uh, Absolute pleasure and honor and humble to listen to and interact with you, sir. I think we could not have asked for a better start to this session than invite you over. In fact, I said, you come from a family of Ziddis. Your life is a big example for big Zid, and you passed on this inspiration of remaining being Ziddi and staying true to our purpose and heart all our lives. Thank you so much, sir. Pranam. You know, I think.
Okay.
Uh,
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are really
Okay.
honored and humbled, and
Thank you.
have a great day, sir. Thank you so much. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. And that's all for this session. Thank you everyone for joining. A special thanks to Professor H.C. Verma and Sarvesh for taking out time to join us all here. And for everyone who is asking about the participation certificates, yes, we are giving participation certificates to all the registered attendees, latest by 15th Feb. So please wait for an email from our end. If you haven't registered till now on our website, you can still go on and visit the link in the bio and register yourself for the World Education Day Fair 2022. We have our IST Practicals Digital Marketing webinar starting at 12:30 p.m. and hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much, everyone.